Breaking news because Thomas Frank has been fired as the head coach of Tottenham Hotspur. He leaves Tottenham immediately. People, it is not a drill. He has been fired. But the question is, what happened and why did Thomas Frank Spurs tenure end this soon? Of course, he was hired in 2025 and fired in 2026. And this is definitely a bigger picture, and that's what we are going to be talking about on our podcast against the narrative. But for right now, what we are talking about is why did Thomas Frank get fired and fired this soon, might I add. Let's start with the poor domestic form. Thomas Frank was sacked, of course, today, the 11th of February 2026, after less than 8 months in charge of Tottenham Hotspur. We are looking at Spurs at 16th place in the Premier League, just 5 points above the relegation zone. And the final straw came against Newcastle after the 2-1 home defeat, extending the winless run to 8 games. Tottenham Hotspur have not gotten a win in the Premier League this calendar year. That tells you how bad it is. Tottenham had only 2 Premier League wins all season at home. That is ridiculously to think about. It is insane to think about. You look at the result and performance issues. Tottenham Hotspur only managed 13 wins in 38 matches across all competitions with Thomas Frank. 13 wins. That is ridiculous. Despite positive moments in Europe, securing a Champions League last 16 spot, league struggles were dominant in the narrative. It was dominant. Tottenham exited both domestic cups competitions early, compounding the pressure on Thomas Frank. It was not good for Thomas Frank. It wasn't going good, and things were absolutely spiraling when things started going off. And I knew this was going to be a problem. The moment we saw his players shun him, the moment we saw his players not shake his hands after a loss, I knew situations were going wrong. And of course, the fan and club frustrations did not help matters because fan openly booed Frank and chanted for his sacking in multiple home matches, creating a toxic atmosphere. Yesterday, he came out and he said, "I am easy to take the blame. It is easy for me to take the blame, and I understand this." There are clear disconnects between the fans and the style of football that Thomas Frank wanted to play, with many feeling like the team lacked creativity and attacking threat. But the key part about this situation is that understanding that Thomas Frank did not have the creative players to his team was definitely one thing that absolutely hindered him in this situation. Now, the contextual challenges with the injuries that hit Tottenham Hotspur hard. At times, 11 players were unavailable for Tottenham. 11, including key attackers. We know the likes of Kulusevski, Madison, so many more others were out. Financial contract fallout in this situation. Tottenham Hotspur paid around £6.7 million in compensation to Brentford for Thomas Frank. And his early dismissal will only add to a notable severance cost because now they are going to have to pay him a lot more money to go away than for him to stay. It is crucial. It is mind-blowing to think about how Tottenham Hotspur have literally blew this one out the park. And why did he fall apart? Because these are deeper issues that I'm definitely here to talk about. The tactical style and the disconnect that came with it. Spurs regularly struggle to create meaningful chances through the middle, relying on predictable plays like crosses instead of incisive attacking patterns. Many supporters' analysis felt that the football was turgid and uninspiring at most, especially given Spurs' attacking talent. Expectations and reality was also something that Spurs needed to understand. Tottenham Hotspur's squad has talent, but integrating new signings and overcoming play injuries or key injuries, I made a mistake there, was a big ask, especially in early managerial tenure. Frank's managerial philosophy, successful at Brentford, did not translate quickly or effectively to a bigger club with higher stakes, relentless scrutiny, and less patience. And then you look at the home woes for them. Only Burnley and Wolves, I repeat, only Burnley and Wolves have had worse home records at one point in this season. Only Burnley and Wolves, putting even more pressure on Thomas Frank. So where does Tottenham Hotspur go next? Of course, we know they have to appoint the right manager. Tottenham must carefully choose Frank's successor. The next appointment should have this thing come with them. They should command trust quickly from the fans. They need to. It is absolutely needed. They need to absolutely, the moment they step into that pitch, have the trust and the belief of the fans. They must be tactically adaptable, not dogmatic in a single style. They must restore fighting spirit and league consistency. Balance the risk with experience. A manager with survival, big club experience, and vision. Names, of course, that are linked right now. Someone like Roberto De Zerbi that wants to come back to the Premier League. And guess what? He just got fired by Marseille too. But the truth about his firing is more of clashes in the back room than his ability to coach his team. Because Marseille has done a good job this season in giving PSG a run for their money in the Ligue 1. So Roberto De Zerbi is definitely one name that should be on the list of Tottenham Hotspur's owners. Second, they need to re-establish an identity. Spurs need a clear tactical identity that suits their players, increasing creativity through the midfield. Chances creation and transition speed. Restore confidence in defensive structures while being positive moving forward. Third is strengthen the squad smartly. You need to use your brain. In January, the addition helped them marginally because they got the likes of, what's his name from Atletico Madrid? Conor Gallagher. But they needed a creative midfielder, a creative playmaker. They needed reliable wingers and forwards who can deliver consistently end products for them. Defensive reinforcements are also needed because the likes of Romero is not cutting it anymore. Improve club stability and support them structurally. Tottenham's recent managerial carousel highlights structural issues. Better patience and planning from ownership could help avoid repeated short-term cycles. More coherent alignment between scouting, recruitment, coaching, and a long-term strategy has to be on the forefront of their minds when they are picking a manager. Focus on survival first. You have, with 12 games remaining, Spurs must. It's a must, and I know this might be crazy to think about. Spurs must prioritize Premier League survival. I know it's crazy to even say out loud, but Spurs must prioritize Premier League survival, which a relegation fight would require. A clear short-term tactics, compact defense, clinical set-piece play, maximizing home points, rapid integration of new ideas from the next head coach. And I truly believe that I don't think in this situation that the likes of De Zerbi coming in as a head coach in this particular time might be the smart idea. I think the smart idea might be giving somebody that's already in-house to take the team for the rest of the season. 12 games get us to stay comfortably in the Premier League and have ourselves go back in the transfer window, go back in the managerial carousel and find the best man for the job. So, what is the bigger picture in this situation? Tottenham Hotspur's sacking of Thomas Frank underlines a borderline crisis at the club. Higher expectations, limited stability, intense pressure from fans and media. If if they were to reverse this slide, they must combine strategic managerial recruitment, smart squad reshaping, a defined footballing philosophy, patience balanced with accountability. As it stands, Spurs must fix the league form first. Relegation battles, vibes aren't typical for a club of their stature. And the next managerial appointment will be pivotal to where Spurs will go. We have seen Everton flirt with relegation, and they made the right choice by bringing back David Moyes. We have seen West Ham flirt with relegation, and they are still flirting with it, and they are in a bad spot. Tottenham Hotspur have flirted with relegation 2 seasons in a row now. They do not want to make it a third, because in a third season, they might just go down. And right there is a problem for Tottenham Hotspur. Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comment. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the follow button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.